Good evening and welcome to Inside Rebel Football with Coach Jerry Arledge. I'm Stanley Dupuy. We'd like to welcome you to our second broadcast show tonight. Coach, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Stanley. Appreciate you hosting the show for us.
Well, Coach, I want to. You always can say people talk about moral victories when you lose, but and I know you don't like to talk about moral victories.
No, I don't.
But I thought the Rebels, both sides of the ball, was up to the challenge, ready to play, and I thought we played hard the entire game.
Well, we felt like going in that they had the advantage of having played two tough ball games, and we're at the disadvantage of only playing probably less than a half of a game, first game of the season, and that really hurts because you usually make the biggest gains team-wise between the first and the third game, somewhere in there, and we were not very seasoned, but our kids played exceptionally hard, and in fact we led at halftime and just kind of ran out of gas a little bit in that second half. But we knew that Catholic was an outstanding football team, and were really hungry because I think we have first time they beaten us was last Friday night.
Wow.
We played each other I think 4 times, Stanley.
Right. We looked at it. I thought it might have been 5 times. I think we have them 4.
Maybe
Coach.
so.
I think Rick and Jordan and I were talking about that before the game. Let's talk about before the game, Coach. Everybody's all fired up. We had Tommy Banks on before the game talking about the 96 team in the 96 semifinal game, which we talked about before. And anyway, everybody was just geeked up, ready for the game. And all of a sudden, I mean, literally a minute before kickoff, we were sent back to the locker room. So what happened in that hour and 45 minutes, and what did you guys do when y'all were in that locker room for that long a period of time?
Well, it's awful hard to keep the kids quiet, and there's an awful lot of noise going on, and and every time they would say, well, let's say we're going to start the countdown again. Anytime there's a lightning within 7 or 8 miles, then they're going to add 30 minutes to that time.
Right.
And I was beginning to think that we were not going to get the game in. But I talked to Coach Semino, who's the head coach, and we went and met with officials. And he said, look, we're on a 3.5-hour trip up here. I want to play the game. And I said, well, that's great because we want to play it also.
Right.
But I gave him the opportunity. If, time-wise, he's the one that made the trip. And, we'll stay here in the morning to play.
Yeah. We were also concerned that we might not play Rick Jordan. When I say we Rick Jordan and I and Ben, we were all in the booth talking.
Right.
And we were concerned because this would have been 2 weeks in a row we would not have played. And I can only imagine how it would hurt going into week 4.
Yes, indeed. That's, there were a lot of teams that, or some teams that did not get to play. A few from somebody having on a team having COVID, and still the hurricane effects of the hurricane. But we were very fortunate to get that one in.
Coach, you led at halftime, 1918, and I had a quick interview with halftime, and I really thought the first half, we totally outplayed them. We had a couple of miscues, but for the most part, I thought we were the aggressor and the better team in the first half. The second half, they made changes, and y'all made changes, but they kind of shut our offense down in the second half. And your thoughts on kind of what happened in the second half?
Well, I think there is to us, there's such a thing as playing readiness, getting in the fold, so to speak. And our starters had only played maybe less than a half all season, because when we played the first game at Sam Houston, we started substituting pretty freely in the middle of the second quarter, and our starters played none in the second half. And then the next game, of course, completely canceled with Brother Martin, and that really hurt us. That really hurt us, I think.
So basically, your starters have only played maybe a quarter and a half of 8 quarters.
That's right. That's right.
And
exactly.
And that hurt not having more, just getting that game readiness and
you bet you.
just and then the improvement from game 1 to game 2.
That's right. It did hurt, and we know that that Catholic had played two very tough opponents. The team that they flew and played in Maryland, and also then they came back and played. Some people thought maybe the number 1 or number 2 ranked 5A school in the state of Louisiana, Acadiana.
Wow!
And they beat Acadiana pretty convincingly in week 2, 20-0.
Right. Well, and we probably scored more points on them that game than they had the 2 previous teams combined.
Well, that's true, but it doesn't do you any good to compare scores.
Right.
And that old saying, you can't do better than win.
Right.
Well, the Rebels didn't win, but I'm extremely proud of our football team.
So,
considering all the circumstances.
Considering what all you had to go against. And look, Catholic, as we said after the broadcast, they were a great football team, as good as advertised. They were good on both sides of the ball.
Yes, they are. All 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams. And the special teams may be the best of all.
They were pretty special Friday night.
Yes, they were. So. Yes, they were.
Well, Coach, we're going to go visit. We're going to take a time out. We'll visit with some of your other coaches. We're going to visit with some of the players that y'all brought along tonight, and then we'll wrap up, and I'll bring you back in, and we'll talk about next week's this Friday night's opponent, Woodlawn, that's coming up from Baton Rouge.
Our kids and what we do, we start out and bring all the seniors on, usually four a week, 2 offense, 2 defense, and it amazes me they always do such a great job.
They do. They did last week. The first time I did it,
yes.
They were really good. So, all right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the coaches and the players right after this timeout.